Well, good evening. I am very excited to be here to tell you about some of the basics of entrepreneurial thinking and how those techniques can help you solve complex problems that you may face in your day-to-day life or in your business or just anything that's irking you. So, like any good entrepreneur, I start off with a story and explain everything in the story. My story starts with Dan. He's a colleague and a friend of mine. I've worked with him for years. Dan wasn't really an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur now, and he is solving extremely pressing problems in the developing world, helping people in the developing world who have been hit by natural disasters, suffering from natural disasters, and helping those communities build resilience and come back even faster. But how is Dan doing that? Dan became an entrepreneur. He wasn't born an entrepreneur. He started learning basic skills that expert founders have been using for years and years, centuries even, to build successful companies that advance our society, build our society, make those complex problems disappear through incredible solutions. Those are based in grit and perseverance, yes, but also critical thinking. Dan went to an institution that really prized the broad breadth of a liberal arts education and learned to think very critically. From there, he went out into the world. He went very out into the world. That liberal arts education gave him the courage to go all the way to Mongolia and become an investment banker, of all things, in Mongolia. Why? Why not? It's exciting, it's engaging. Go out and solve problems out on the other side of the planet when you're young and vigorous and excited. While he was there, he met dozens of people, all interested in the developing world, how to help the developing world become more resilient, stronger, able to bounce back from crises, or just prosper, help the people flourish in the ways that we've been fortunate enough to flourish in our developed world. And in meeting all of those people, he met Jerry. Jerry was very excited about this as well. And he had the kernel of an idea, just that little glimmer of an idea, based in his experiences in America, in college, and in the finance sector. He understood the basics of insurance. Think about how we here in the developed world mitigate our risk against hurricanes. You got your house in Florida, hurricane comes, knocks away half of it, insurance comes up, they look through your house, try to figure everything out, realize, okay, 80% of your house has been knocked down, here's 80% of the payout value, go rebuild. And like that, you can start to rebuild an entire region and bounce back. When that happens in the developing world, it can take decades to rebuild because there's no mechanism that is coordinated and straightforward to come in and help out. Yes, there are aid development companies, there are foreign governments, but it takes months, weeks, years, decades for all the money to actually solve the problem. Dan and Jerry realized that there is an insurance solution somewhere in there, but they didn't know what it was. But they were ready to make that bet. And they applied that first concept of entrepreneurial thinking, affordable loss. They decided to make a bet based on what they could bring to the table, what they could afford to lose. What could they bring to the table? Smarts, all that education, all that experience, their network. They knew people all around the world. And they've been working for a little while. They got a couple $1,000. They can go travel around, talk to people, take time off work, put it in towards trying to figure out what could this insurance solution be. But that's hard. They figured out this is really, really hard. It hasn't been done because it is a royal pain to try to figure out the tax implications, the legal implications, the international regulations, and not to mention just the business model. And they could have just stopped right then and there. It's like, this is too much for us, we're out. But they didn't. They decided to apply the second major principle of entrepreneurial thinking. They started making entrepreneurial asks, started asking within their network. Now, an ask seems like an easy concept, but an entrepreneurial ask is a slight twist. You move from, I am going to ask somebody for something. They could just go say, I need to build an insurance fund. I need $100 million, please. That might win, but chances are it's not. Entrepreneurs know that that's high risk. Chances of that working out, not good. So they try to ask questions in a different way. They go to their partners and ask, how can I get you on board? What can I do to help you see the value in this? What can I do to help you understand that this project is worthwhile? And using that method, they ended up on the doorstep of the UK Development Secretariat, a group responsible for this kind of problem, helping developing nations. They liked the idea. They weren't ready to give them $100 million to start it up, but they were willing to give them a one-year grant to figure it out. So they went from a few $1,000s to having a full year to figure this out just by making asks. They used that time to learn that this is really difficult. They figured that out, but they could have stopped again, and they started asking other institutions. They went to one of the biggest law firms in the country, in the world, and asked for help in the same way. That law firm, excited to help. They have tax expertise. Using that expertise, they came up with a system for dealing with the tax implications. But nobody really understood the international regulations and how to deal with that. Well, our tax friend had another friend at another law firm. He asked that person, and sure enough, they said, oh, this is a very good project. We want to be involved. We will help you figure out how to do the legal side of this. So all of a sudden, we have two of the biggest law firms in the world helping out. But still, there's this question of the bookkeeping. It's really complex. Well, our newest partner knew somebody at one of the global accounting firms, went and made the pitch there, and sure enough, that firm is excited. This is a social program that's going to help millions, and they want to be involved. So they figured out the bookkeeping aspects of this entire complex business. All of a sudden, within a year, Dan and Jerry have a business model and extraordinarily powerful partners. That's the third leg of the entrepreneurial mindset. Be ready and willing to take on your partners. Don't think you can do it by yourself. Always know that partners are there to help. They're willing to help. And when you can get them to commit to you, the options get much bigger. And so now with this conglomeration of UK government, two large global law firms and a global accountancy house, this is a legitimate, humongous opportunity, and getting clients has been very easy. And if you look back and ask Dan what he thought he would be doing when he started talking to Jerry, he had no idea. They simply followed that path of making small bets, asking for help, and building partnerships. I've talked a bit about what are what is this magic insurance thing? What is this innovation? It's called parametric insurance. Instead of having a traditional setup where hurricane hits Florida, in swoops hundreds of insurance people, they pick through all the houses, they guess that window's broken, that door's broken, okay, that costs $20. And then after weeks or months, they finally say, okay, here's your check. Dan and Jerry came up with the system through really savvy data management to come up with a way to predict how much damage happens in a large swath of an area during, say, a hurricane of 3.5 or a earthquake, Richter scale 6.2. They know roughly how much damage that's going to cause, how much that is going to cost, and they can pay out on the day of the accident. Sometimes they can pay out before the hurricane hits. That's a revolution for these regions that get devastated regularly by natural disasters. And this is exciting for national governments who want to support these regions. This is also exciting for finance organizations that have lenders and businesses that they're supporting in these regions. So this is a groundbreaking new revolution in protecting these regions. And Dan came out of an institution that prized that critical thinking, and he simply used those skills piece by piece by piece to get to where he is today. And what does this mean for us here? It means that when you think of something that's really complicated and big, instead of going, oh, this is too much, you can begin to think of these entrepreneurial tools. What can I do right now? What are the resources available to me right now? What am I willing to bet today, tonight, not tomorrow, not dreaming about, well, if I had $1,000 or $10,000, I could do that. No, you have resources, you have a brain, you have friends, you have a network. Get started right now. Bring those people in. Ask for their help in a very creative entrepreneurial way. Get them engaged. And then once they're engaged, keep them engaged. Build that partnership up. And you don't know how many problems you're going to be able to solve once you get all of those people